Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, JDM, here with Not a Hockey Market podcast, bringing you all the mid-season action. Yes, I know it's been a little bit. Haven't been able to jump on as much as I've wanted to. Life, family, 3 kids, multiple jobs, you name it. I've been doing it. But I am so fucking pumped for this particular episode because not only do we get to I get to talk to you guys about some mid-season action that is going on around the league. There's all kinds of news. It looks like COVID is in our rearview mirror as things continue to pick up. Not as many games being canceled. We are now officially on the march towards the playoffs when it comes to the NHL, which is unusual because we're going to be getting into the midseason point of the NHL. But first and foremost, we definitely have to go and do much of our due diligence and to let you all know to please follow us on all of our social media channels on IG at 90 Miles Media, at Couch Dads Podcast, at Podcast City Net, and at PCN Final Score. Also with our Facebook pages at 90 Miles Media, at PCN Final Score, and at Podcast City Network. Look for at 90 Miles Media to be rebranded a bit on Instagram to Not a Hockey Market Podcast because we're going to start doing exclusive hockey content on that particular IG channel. Of course, the Facebook page, all of these shows that I'm doing for you guys, the Couch Dads Podcast, Not a Hockey Market Pod, Final Score will be featured on 90 Miles Media and Podcast City Network. So be sure to take a look at all of our social media channels there. Also make sure this is going up on our YouTube channel. Search for 90 Miles Media and get Not a Hockey Market Podcast there so you can view. Also be sure to subscribe to PCN Final Score. So just go to your YouTube channel, search for PCN Final Score, and subscribe there as well. So usually I do a ticker with the standings. I didn't have a chance to do that this time around, but hey, that's life, right? So what we really want to start talking about, and what I really want to do particularly today, is go through, before we get into our news and before we get into all that, we're going to get into the meat of what's going on in the NHL. For starters, you already have some games on tap right before here in a few minutes as we're recording on Wednesday night. This is going up on Thursday morning. We'll see what happens with these particular games. Bunch of late night games tonight. At 10, the Battle of Alberta continues with the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames going at it. The St. Louis Blues will battle the surprising LA Kings. They have played mighty well this year. The San Jose Sharks will face off against the Vegas Golden Knights, all at 10 across the board there. At 7, here in a few minutes, the Vancouver Canucks will face the Ottawa Senators. Philadelphia going up against the Rangers at 7:30, and Montreal versus the Winnipeg Jets at 9. So that's what's on tap for tonight's games. We'll definitely see what ends up happening. Lots of news going on. The most exciting thing has to go ahead, and I mean, there's no other way to spin this, discuss it, or whatever you want to talk about it, but it's the ESPN Power Rankings that came out. Now, I don't like talking too much about ESPN. They've been so far from the pulse of the NHL for so long, but when they put out these power rankings, everyone started to turn their heads a bit because we got something brewing. All right? We got something brewing here in South Florida. And man, does it feel interesting. Man, does it fucking feel good. And I gotta say, I don't know about you guys, but I am super fucking stoked for this. Take a look here. All right. Boom. Well, you can't see it very well there. So we're going to, boom, full screen it. The Florida Panthers are ranked number 1 on your ESPN power rankings. Get some. Let's go. I put up a meme with Final Score not too long ago where I was like, hey, do you guys, any of you guys want to buy some wagons? Anybody interested? Because we are selling plenty of wagons, okay? Los rojo ones, the red ones in the back, we got plenty of bandwagons. I'll take any bandwagoner that wants to jump on this wagon right here, okay? I mean, do you see this right now, man? This is just disgusting. This is freaking amazing right now. The Florida Panthers ranked number 1 on your power rankings. And what does it have to do with? It has to do with one particular person. That is Alexander Barkov, who does everything and does it well. They say it. He's one of the best two-way players in the game, along with Patrice Bergeron and Ryan O'Reilly. Oh, what did Ryan O'Reilly do? Oh, nothing. Win a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues a couple years back. Right behind them is definitely the Carolina Hurricanes at number 2. Vincent Trocheck. Where did he play? Oh, I don't know. He just happened to play for the Florida Panthers. He himself has been an absolute force to be reckoned with this year. 13 goals and a point per game pace through 24. Currently injured right now, but who knows what's to come there. Tampa Bay, the Stanley Cup champs, are definitely in the mix. Big game coming up on March 21st against the Florida Panthers. Andre Vasilevsky, I mean, just chalk it up, put it in the bank right here, right now. That dude's winning the Vezina. There's no other way you put it. Vasilevsky is definitely the Vezina Trophy winner this year. Tampa Bay has definitely looked very, very good. The Vegas Golden Knights are in 4th, followed by the New York Islanders in 5th. Marc-Andre Fleury having a great year. Mark Stone. Can we talk about Mark Stone for a little bit here? He gets named captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, and he continues to put on a freaking clinic on what it means to be a power forward. So, I have to put it out there, and I have to go ahead and say I did this. Hold on one second. I did this on PCN Final Score, and so I got to put it out there. Sucio, dulce y malo. Dulce right now is definitely Mark Stone. Mark Stone has been absolutely sweet for the Vegas Golden Knights this year. I really love his game. He is a power forward that has great hands in front. He does anything and everything on both ends of the ice. Currently, he's got 10 goals, 23 assists for a total of 33 points, wearing the C. Lots of power play points as well. So he's effective on the power play. I mean, he's got 7 power play points, right? 6 game-winning goals. 6 game winners. So that's an impact player for you right there. And that is exactly what he has been up to and what he's been able to accomplish. New York Islanders have definitely played extremely well. Unfortunately, the New York Islanders are going to start to trend downwards. Captain Anders Lee, who has been their first half MVP with 12 goals leading the team, guess what? Sidelined indefinitely with a lower body injury. So that is a huge blow to them. Following up after that, you're looking at, you're looking at the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin is still playing extremely well. Nicholas Backstrom, very underrated this year, the 33-year-old, is quietly leading the team in points. Behind them, the Minnesota Wild with Your Calder Trophy winner. Your Calder Trophy winner, Kirill Kaprizov, right there, has been the star of the Wild so far. He's been absolutely amazing. I know it sounds like I'm reading off of ESPN, but this is the first time that they have actually done something fucking good when it comes to this, all right? I don't want to give them too much credit, but they've actually done well with these damn power rankings. I'm kind of surprised. Pittsburgh Penguins, following them, the Toronto Maple Leafs, a little bit lower, even though Austin Matthews, he does lead the NHL in goals by a pretty decent margin right now. They are ninth in the power rankings, followed by the Colorado Avalanche. Philip Grubauer playing excellent hockey. Nathan McKinnon is starting to bring it back up. And, Colorado is one of my picks and still is one of my picks to be up there, when it comes to the Stanley Cup. They're still definitely one of the favorites. They're still one that we're all going to have to kind of look for and watch, because when it comes to them, they are definitely going to be dangerous. Looking through, you got your Boston Bruins with one of the best lines in the NHL. Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak, and Brad Marchand are still clicking on all cylinders. Definitely one to look forward to. The Winnipeg Jets, after that trade with Pierre-Luc Dubois and getting him into the mix, he himself has been quite impressive. More impressive than Paul Stastny at 35 years old, playing on the first line with Mark Scheifele. He has been on a little bit of a goal streak. So if you're playing some fantasy hockey, I would definitely recommend going out there and grabbing Paul Stastny off that waiver wire. Chances are he is available at about 25% or so. What else is there to say about Paul Stastny? I mean, he's gone through the ringer. He's been traded. He found a home there in Winnipeg, and he's playing some good hockey as of late, playing on that first line that, since they shipped off Lane, they had a chance to move some guys around and really get better chemistry with Wheeler and Scheifele, Connor, Ehlers, and then Dubois. That's a very, very tough top six that they're going to have to go up against. A little bit further down the line, as we start getting into the middle of the pack, St. Louis Blues ranked 13th according to the power rankings. Edmonton Oilers following them. Connor McDavid has been playing absolutely phenomenal offensively. And I have to say, he is going to be my nomination this week for Malo. Even though he's playing so fucking out of his mind, why would I put him there as nomination for Malo? Well, I was watching the Battle of Alberta last night, or the other night, and what did this dude do? He tried to burn everybody going up the middle of the ice, turned it over. Dubé stole the puck from him, came in on a breakaway, and scored. You got to dump the puck in if you don't see an opening. You're not always going to carry it through. Yeah, you're the most dynamic player in the world, but you're not always going to be able to do that, man. You got to be able to know when to pick your spots. And I feel like sometimes defensively, he makes a lot of errors, even though he is easily one of the most dynamic offensive players out there. But it's why I would rather have Alexander Barkov on my team or Patrice Bergeron on my team as my number one center. That's my, little hot take on Mr., Connor McDavid there. The Montreal Canadiens at 15, Flyers at 16, Flames at 17. Talk about the Flyers and Flames a little bit here. So Flames just hanging around. Jacob Markstrom has been a very, very good payoff for them. They paid him well. They stole him from Vancouver in the offseason, took him over to Calgary, and has been one of the better goaltenders that Calgary has seen in quite some time. So good on them for Calgary. The Flyers. Hey, man, the Flyers are still hanging around, especially in a very, very tough division. That Mass Mutual East, whatever the hell you want to call it. You got the Islanders and the Caps and Pittsburgh still also hanging around. But the Flyers have still played extremely well, even though their better two-way center, who Patrice Bergeron like, Sean Couturier, he's only played 15 games. He's missed 10 of them with a rib injury. And he's still, by far, their better player. Claude Giroux's got to wake up, though. If there's anything to be said about that, is that Claude Giroux definitely has to wake up. And, on that note, I would have to also say, what also has to wake up is anybody and everybody that is looking for the best network for independent podcasters around. Go visit Podcast City Network and see and get a hold of 19 plus independent podcasters that are just growing. Not a Hockey Market Podcast is a proud member of Podcast City Network, along with Fixed Edged, along with The Nest, along with the Rip Griffin Show. I mean, the shows just keep coming and coming and coming. Definitely something to check out. So if I don't know what you're waiting for, to be honest. I'm not going to send, the meme that I have. If you've seen it, go find Zdeno Chara just staring a blank stare into your soul if you haven't gone on the Podcast City Network website. So be sure, follow at Podcast City Net on Instagram, go to Facebook and type in Podcast City Network. Be sure to like, subscribe, find them on the YouTube channel, and visit www.podcastcity.net for all your independent growing podcast needs and shows, from the sports world to the wrestling world to the gambling world. We've got it for you. So be sure to check that out. Shout out to my boys, Craig and Chris. Thank you, boys, very much for including me in the Final Score Podcast City Network family. Really appreciate it. All right. Got to get back into it. Got to. There's no other choice but to do so. Looking into these power rankings, I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks, can we talk about this team for a second here? Easily one of the biggest surprise ever. First game of the season against the Florida Panthers, there were no fans from Chicago in that arena. And we know in Florida, it's nice, it's sunny, the weather's beautiful down here. You guys are all trying to get out here. There's no question about it. I already know that. I know you guys are trying to get out here and do your thing. Everybody wants to come down to Florida because right now the weather in the north is just absolutely wretched. So, of course, Chicago fans love traveling down here, and they weren't coming out, but now they are. I mean, right now, Patrick Kane is third in the NHL in points. Third. He's easily in the MVP discussion, because after him, there's 12 points between him and the next guy. That's disgusting. And Kane is only trailing Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in points. And they, of course, play in that freaking, Canada League where nobody likes to play defense. Right after that, the surprising team is the Los Angeles Kings. Anze Kopitar, another center that is a phenomenal two-way guy that is completely dominating the game. He is dominating both ends of the ice really well. Barkov, Bergeron, Kopitar, Couturier. It has to be the best time for that Selke Award right now, because any one of these guys could take that home. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what I would say is absolutely sucio. Just super filthy. Are the play of these two-way guys, these two-way centers, Bergeron, Barkov, Kopitar, Couturier, Riley. These are your number one centers that win cups. I'm telling you exactly what I think and how it is, and that's my hot take for it. Definitely, I mean, you want to have a conversation about it, more than happy to. But these guys are absolutely dirty. They're filthy on both ends of the ice. Turnovers, they pick your pocket, turn it the other way real quick, and in the offensive zone, they all have a shot. They all have tremendous hands, and they all, from a GM standpoint, is the guy I want as my number one center. Those are the kind of guys that I like to have on my squad. I'll find a dynamic winger, Panarin, Huberto. I mean, put McDavid on the wing, probably be a hell of a lot better. I mean, McDavid is easily one of the most dynamic players out there. I just still think defensively, I don't like it. Don't like it. That's all. I could be definitely wrong. He is easily the best player in the league, though. Even with that complaint. So I don't want to go too much into the power rankings here. I think we've definitely beat it over the head as much as possible with what we got. Arizona, Rangers, Stars, Blue Jackets, and then, the Sharks, Vancouver Canucks. Canucks are much lower than you think, but Thatcher Demko has had some pretty damn good games as of late. So look for them. Preds, Devils, Sens, Ducks, Red Wings, and following up in the absolute rear, the Buffalo Sabres. Now, the reason why the Buffalo Sabres are absolutely in the rear, not only is Mr. Jack Eichel injured, we all know what has been going on with the $27 million that they have between Taylor Hall, Jeff Skinner, and Jack Eichel, scoring a total of 4 goals, is it? Between $27 million? I mean, that, I'm not sure if that bodes well, guys. I really don't think that's a good one. I really think, you got to do better than that. Definitely does not look good for the general management over there. I'm not sure they like it a whole lot over in Buffalo. And they showed it. They definitely showed it with the most recent news of the firing of their head coach, Ralph Kruger, and that Hall could be traded next. So not only did Eric Stahl request a trade, Hall is open to a trade. Eichel, at the beginning of the season, was talking about a trade before anything even happened. Was talking about that if the general management does not step up their game, that he would want to be traded. So there's that. Nobody's going to take the contract of Jeff Skinner. Nobody wants that. But now that Hall also wants a trade, the culture in Buffalo definitely has to change, and that's really what it comes down to, guys. That culture over there is just, I'm not sure what it is or what's going on with it, but it is not good at all. So definitely see a possible rebuild, and I'm not sure if you can rebuild if you don't have any kind of pieces, which means the pieces that are going to be dealt are going to be those pieces of Hall and Skinner and Eichel. I mean, maybe keep Ramasdali as your center, as one of your centerpieces, but a full overhaul is going to be necessary. And I don't think Eichel wants to go through that. Dali is still young. He could be the centerpiece because he's still young. Eichel's been there enough. He doesn't want to go through a rebuild from the start again. He is going to not be a Buffalo Sabre next year. It may not happen at the trade deadline. Okay. It may happen. Maybe it happens with the Seattle expansion draft, a trade to Seattle or to a team or to whoever. If Buffalo's smart about it, I mean, I'm saying straight up, start your rebuild and say, hey, Seattle, I will take your first first round pick, and I will send you Jack Eichel to start your franchise. I mean, pan pan y el vino vino, and that's it. Can't it get any crazier than that? So, want to conclude this episode with one more tidbit for you guys as we look through the power rankings already. You saw what's going on. I'm going to give you a quick update on the standings. I don't have the rolling ticker available this time, but leading the pack points-wise, it is a 4-way tie. Okay? Between 2 teams in the East, 2 teams in the Central. The Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers, the Washington Capitals, and the New York Islanders all currently have 42 points. The Caps and the Panthers are on a big win streak right now. Florida's won 4 straight. The Washington Capitals have won 6 straight. It is definitely going to be very, very tough at the top of these standings, as teams in the upper half of each division have started to separate themselves a bit. In the Discover Central, it is led by the Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers tied at 42 points apiece, followed by the Carolina Hurricanes, the Chicago Blackhawks, and then trailing the Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas, Nashville, Detroit. In the Mass Mutual East, you have the Washington Capitals tied with the New York Islanders. The Pittsburgh Penguins hanging around still, getting some great goaltending from Casey DeSmith as of late, and hanging around in that 3rd spot with 37 points. The Boston Bruins with 34. The Philadelphia Flyers out of the playoffs looking in, or from the outside and trying to get in at 31. The Rangers have struggled. The Devils have struggled. And, of course, Buffalo has definitely struggled. As a matter of fact, in their last 10, they are 0-9-1. No wonder that dude got fired. No wonder. In our favorite no defense league, the Toronto Maple Leafs continue to lead that division. The Winnipeg Jets have had a nice stretch over the last 10 games. The Edmonton Oilers and Jets are tied with 36 points apiece, while Toronto leads with 40. And the Edmonton Oilers are playing Edmonton Oiler hockey, as in their last 10, they are 5-5. So that is exactly what they're doing. Best player in the world, and they cannot get themselves to the top of this division or to, in above 500 right now. The Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames battling for that 4th spot, along with the Vancouver Canucks, where Montreal has 33 points, Calgary with 31, and the Canucks with 30. Canucks on the rise, have started to trend upward a little bit more. I talked about Thatcher Demko playing much, much, much better. And the Ottawa Senators trailing that division in the North. In the Honda West, the surprise of the division, definitely the Minnesota Wild in second with 37 points, only trailing the Vegas Golden Knights with 39, followed by the Colorado Avalanche with 36, the St. Louis Blues with 33, the Kings and Arizona tied with 28. As you can see, the Blues, Avs, Minnesota, and Vegas really starting to get a little bit of distance between the other teams, as you have the Kings and Arizona trying to crawl back into it. San Jose and Anaheim at the bottom of that division. Big surprise, though, there, the Minnesota Wild. I talked about it the last show, and guess what? they're still there. I had a couple weeks off of a break, and the Minnesota Wild are still surprising. So it looks like they are there to stay, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minnesota Wild are there to stay. So definitely look. I think their retro jerseys are actually kind of fire. The old school Minnesota North Stars style, and the Wild are definitely a team that's going to be sticking around. Finally, boom, this happened. The NHL and the ESPN reach a groundbreaking TV deal that we definitely got to take a look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at that TV deal that we're talking about right now. And what else can you say? I mean, just huge freaking news from ESPN and the NHL. A 7-year television deal for streaming rights and media rights deal, exclusive coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on ABC, and interestingly enough, 4 of those 7 years. So that means that in the other years, you could actually get, something else. Ain't that something? So in the other 3 years, you could go to NBC. You could still have that going on. That in itself, half of the Stanley Cup playoffs will be played on ABC and ESPN each season. So are we getting that classic ESPN hockey night theme back? One can only hope so. 25 exclusive national regular season games on ABC and ESPN. 75 national regular season games will stream exclusively on both ESPN Plus and Hulu. So the out-of-market streaming package, the NHL.TV, available only as part of the ESPN Plus subscription. So the streaming and the out-of-market games and the NHL.TV, that was, I think, the real interesting part of this particular deal. Because that means that now, if you're like me and you're a streaming guy and you do all that kind of stuff, I buy the ESPN, I get the Disney package. So I get the Disney Plus with the Hulu and the ESPN Plus. Disney Plus is for the kids, so I buy that package anyways. And they're just, sweetening the pot for me by giving me my hockey, which is the other thing that I watch. Basically a bunch of Disney shit and hockey. That's all I watch anyways. So thank you very much for cutting my bill even smaller. So I appreciate the hell out of that. So this was an interesting deal when it broke. Thought it was really freaking cool. Shout out to Hockey Live Nation for putting up that graphic. Really appreciate it. Very cool stuff that we were able to pull. And that is my show for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm psyched up about these power rankings that the Florida Panthers are up there at number 1. But next week, we're going to have our own power rankings because we can't sit up there too high. We need to have a little bit more adversity. I don't think the Florida Panthers are, in my heart, the Florida Panthers are number 1 and deserve to be in that power rankings. But we have to be wary of some of these other teams like Washington Capitals, Tampa Bay, Islanders. Nobody wants to play against the fucking Islanders, that's for sure. Vegas. So next week, we'll see what happens this week as games are going on. Vancouver just potted one and made it a 1-0 game in Ottawa. And we'll see what happens next week with our very own Not a Hockey Market podcast, the JDM Power Rankings. So I look forward to bringing you guys that. That is it for me for today. Be sure, once again, to follow us on all the social media channels. Big shout out to Podcast City Network. Proud to be a member of Podcast City Network. So be sure to check me out on www.podcastcity.net. facebook.com/notahockeymarketpodcast. There you can find all kinds of information, and I hope to continue to bring you guys some entertaining and some fun hockey content. Want to get on the show and want to learn more, or want to just argue hockey with me? I'm always up for that kind of shit. So please send me a message on one of my social media channels, and I'd love to have you on the show and talk hockey with other people that love the sport as much as I do, as we are out to prove that there are knowledgeable hockey fans anywhere and everywhere. Not a Hockey Market Podcast is a show that focuses on those markets that people claim it's not a hockey market. We say bullshit. Yes, it is. Hyper focused on those areas with a huge focus on the NHL overall as well. So that's my show for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for definitely coming out. And, I will see you guys next time. Cheers.